Look who it is. Strife.
You know who I am?
Yeah. I met your sister once. She was a lot bigger than you. But not as pretty. What do you want, little horseman?
Malgros the Defiler, for conspiring with Lucifer, committing countless crimes against all of creation, and by order of the Council, I hereby sentence you to death.
Who? You come into my place alone, threaten me, and think you're just walking out of here.
It does sound funny hearing you say it.
I'm gonna count to 3. If you're still standing here, I'm gonna defile your corpse in ways you can't possibly imagine. Feed what's left to my boys. Horse meat's their favorites. 1,
2, 3! Sorry. We're in a hurry. Oh, and, I'm not alone.
So here we go. This is the first ever project I'm going to be doing called Darksiders Anthology. And what it's going to be is I am going to play through all the Darksiders games in lore chronological order, meaning that I'm going to be doing what's first chronologically by lore, and Genesis is first, despite being the last game being made. It is the first one in the entire series. After that, I'm going to do, I know things get a little muddy between 3, 2, and 1, but the correct order for after Genesis is actually 3, 2, and 1. The reason why this is so is because even though the first one starts everything, 3 happens directly after the prologue of 1, and it continues to be separate from the prologue. 2 starts off after the prologue of 1 as well, but it runs parallel to Darksiders 1. And then Darksiders 1 is the last from the game because it's the one that takes place. It's the last one because its events happen much later on than all the other ones do. So that's my explanation. So we're going to start with this. I'm going to do a new game because this game does not have a new game plus, unlike the other three games. So here we go.
Do not mourn.
Do not doubt. Your actions in Eden were tragic, but necessary.
Eden was intended for humanity, not the Nephilim. It was a great victory for the balance. For you, horseman.
Victory?
Where are death and fury?
It matters not. Your purpose lies elsewhere. Lucifer, lord of all hells, yet plots humanity's downfall.
Weak though they may seem, these fledgling creatures are integral to the balance.
We believe the demon Samael, lord of Blackstone Keep, conspires with Lucifer. Seek out Samael. Unravel this plot. Serve the balance. Show them the price of defying the Council.
Samael's fortress is under attack.
The Council could have mentioned that.
His enemies are many, but few could muster the forces to attack him directly.
Well, guess it's not going to be an in-and-out conversation then.
Not likely.
One thing's for sure. We aren't using the front door. Let's get closer and see what we find.
So, despite the fact that this game has both Lore and Strife, it's very easy to consider this game is a game specifically made for Strife, because Strife has some very strong abilities. He's also got significant
Looks like the battle's
importance.
been going on for a while.
The front walls still hold. Samael's forces will be drawn there, weakening his defenses elsewhere.
Wait. Are you suggesting we sneak in? Good call. But that doesn't sound like it.
It's strategic.
Right.
So, the reason why this could be considered Strife's games, because again, the plot seems to focus mostly around his interactions with not just with like characters, but also with like background lore and whatnot. Also, the thing about this game is that this game has a heavy focus on replay. And I don't mean in terms of replayability, I mean in terms of backtracking to get items to progress forward, because in this game they have a power level system, and if your characters aren't within a certain power level range, they're gonna get bopped easily. So if I have to go back to do any like collecting, because there's a mechanic in here that won't be explained later on. It won't be explained right now because currently it's not important yet, but it will be in a bit. As for the structure of these videos, for this first one, I'm just going to do the first chapter. But after that, I'm going to be doing 2 chapters every video. And the reason I want to do that is primarily because, like I said, this game features a lot of going back just to make sure you're stronger. So I want to do that as little as possible, because my main goal for this is to do all the main story missions. My goal is not to do the side quests, especially in Darksiders 2. If I do Darksiders 2, it's primarily because it helps with getting experience for leveling up. For the most part, my goal is to just complete the game to get the story for the story. I'll probably do, yeah, So this mysterious object is going to be key later on. My main goal again is to just complete the story and show the characters how they interact, and it's also allied characters. Because I love this game. This is easily one of my most favorite game franchises. Yeah, like when I played the very first Darksiders, I just loved I loved its aesthetics. I loved how it took the whole horseman concept and just gave an entirely brand new lore about it. I just love everything there is that I can about it. So I am going to try to show that love in my commentary and hopefully on my gameplay as well. Hopefully I won't do terrible, but we'll see what happens. So something about this game is that it displays what everything you need to get is. The problem is that some stuff you can't get because of how they're placed. Because you might need special items because in this game, because like all Darksiders game, you get items that help with progressing, not just with story, but with also solving puzzles and whatnot. You have to backtrack and do so you get it done. Because that's the biggest thing about this game in particular is that like I said, there is a ton of backtracking. Like it's ridiculous how much backtracking you do in just this game alone. But so for this game focuses on two of them, War and Strife. And we see here how War is pretty much like straight down. He's very serious. He doesn't really joke or lighten the mood. He's very blunt and direct, as you'll see with some of his lines. Which isn't bad. It actually makes him, but that bluntness and whatnot makes him extremely loyal towards the council, even if his siblings are not so much. Especially Strife and Death. They are their loyalty to the council is very iffy. And here we can see some differences too, especially with like the execution, where if you saw War, he just booted them. He did a boot to the head. Whereas Strife and War is soccer ball kick. So we don't really see much of their personality yet, really, in combat, but as we fight stronger enemies, we're going to see the differences between not just in their fighting styles, but also in how they react to battle as well, especially Strife. We can compare Strife's quotes with War's.
Another trophy!
So the smaller enemies we were fighting were called fleas. There are several types of fleas. And this guy's Legion are essentially the more ranking, they're more the bigger demons. So here we get the first unique mechanic to this game. And that is, So, War has things called enhancements that gives him special abilities for his melee attacks. Whereas Strife gets ammo, which helps with, which gives them different shots that have different abilities. And they all have wrath abilities. You have to find and unlock each wrath ability, but thankfully most of these abilities are pretty easy to find. There's like like one of War's abilities is not
Alright,
quite
some
clear
action
cut
already.
defined.
A simple war mode.
War is like the only one that you have to do with the side quests. I guess there are side quests in this game, but most of the side quests are limited to the stage you're playing on. Yeah, here we go, yeah, how he goes with those booms. Yeah.
Which side are these demons on, anyhow?
How should we know? They all look the same. Sorry, that was insensitive.
Oh. So this game can be played co-op either right there next to a person or online. None of the people I know will play this game for their own reasons. I play a lot of games most people don't play. So as with most Darksiders games, when you're on your horse, the attacks of the horseman just go off dramatically. And this becomes key for a boss battle later on. And again, like I said, I am not going to... My goal is to basically progress in the story, not do side quests. If I do side quests, it's because they are easy to do. Plus, it gives me souls and coins needed to upgrade the horseman.
Just like that.
I'll also not be trying to do the Crucible. And if I do the Crucible, it's mainly to get souls, again, for purchasing. So that little gate is called, that little object weapon is called a sun gate. And it only opens when you kill all the enemies in the area. What it does is gives you the souls that were dropped during the battle.
Nor do I. Perhaps the council trusts will make do.
Or the test.
We're bound now as enforcers of the balance. Test or not, we follow orders.
Hey, I know what I signed up for. I'm just saying.
Now our concern is with Samael. If he's still alive.
I guarantee whoever's attacking Sammy is underestimating.
We won't.
So there we also have like a huge difference between War and Strife. War believes in the council unquestioningly, while Strife, not so much.
You made a mistake!
He prefers to actually think for himself, and not just be blinded by what the council has done to make him strong. He knows that not everything is good. kind of trust them without any question. So this is wholly a side objective. I don't really need to do this, but it helps with So we know that War is kind of more like a warrior, while Strife was kind of an unknown. But in this game, they put him like a gunslinging ninja, and once I show some of his wrath abilities, you'll see why that is. Also, curiously, Strife does have melee weapons, but his primary weapons are his guns. For this game, it introduces a lot of things to the series. It introduces how War knows Samael, not Samael, Fulgrim, how the ceasefire was also formed. If you played the series, there is a ceasefire that the council made that prevented any faction from just attacking humanity before it was their time to participate in the end war, which will be explained later on. But yeah, Strife was always a curious oddity because nobody knew exactly what kind of story he had, especially since there was a novel as well as there was a book and a graphic novel series, and the graphic novel, the book, Strife was much more hostile. It was also much more, what do you say, arrogant, but he was willing to pick a fight with his older brother Death for being the leader of the four horsemen. But then THQ Nordic came and said that book isn't canon anymore, so his original personality in that was no longer the same. But in the graphic novel, his personality is somewhat bloodthirsty because he was sent to him and his brothers were sent to Samael. And during the talk, Strife mentions he wished he hoped that he would attack them just to get an excuse to kill them. And actually, that's actually mentioned. There's a reason behind that. It's mentioned in this game, but it's not mentioned much later on. So here we go. Yes, he creates shadow. And yes, This is one reason why he's like a gun ninja in this game. Just kind of weird considering all things considered. Sorry about that. Ah, here we go. Strife's first bullet. So, a lot of people only consider charge shot to be useful pretty much in the beginning of the game. And it's not hard to see why. I mean, you see right now how it's doing good damage. Later on in the game, that damage is pretty pitiful compared to other shots he gets later on. I will also say this is actually the only Darksiders games where you start with some sort of traversal items early on. Because if you played all the other Darksiders, apart from like Fury, you gotta get the first traversal items later on. You don't get them right off the bat. No, we need to collect these points so they're actually useful. They are a necessity in this game. Though it's kind of strange how, despite being a necessity, it seems they have more Coleman points than you actually need in the game. I just hope THQ Nordic is working on either Darksiders 4.
Lava towers cost. I'd like to get some for my place.
Why not ask the Lord of Blackstone?
Either Darksiders 4 that focuses more on what Strife is doing, because for the thing that you hear in all three games is that nobody knows what Strife is doing. The assumption is that the council sent him to do something, and either he doesn't do it or he gives up on doing it very, very quickly. We don't know yet because there's nothing that hints to what he's doing. He does show up in Darksiders 3, but he has kind of a side in it. What the heck? Apologies for constantly on.
You are one, but we are many.
I still think it would have been cool if Strife, like, instead of having just using his two guns for everything, if like he could fuse his guns into other guns. You know, like if he does a charge shot, he turns it into a giant missile launcher or a bazooka. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice that they kept the pistols as they are for the sake of creativity. But it wouldn't hurt to have like a shape-shifting weapon. Because here's the thing, is that in the second game, Darksiders 2, Death's main weapon can shapeshift. His harvester has the ability to change shape. It doesn't remain in a single form. And it's more than just in terms of it can combine into a larger site. It can look like other sites, but it's still the same weapon. Which was, I thought, was a very good mechanic. I loved the gear mechanic in Darksiders 2. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a nice change of pace. A lot of people consider Darksiders 2 to be Prince of Persia, while Darksiders 1 is compared to Legend of Zelda, which are pretty fair comparisons. Those are probably the most accurate comparisons as well. Now, I said earlier that there was side quest, but I'm going to do most of the collectibles because most of the collectibles in this game get you really good stuff for later on. That helps with getting souls to buy stuff later on. It also helps enhance the abilities of the main characters, which in turn makes it easier to beat the game. So even though I'm normally not going to do this, the trickster doors in particular, they are very important because it helps with getting certain some enhancements and bullets for both War and Strife are hidden behind special doors called trickster doors. And you need to find trickster keys to open those doors. Now, for the most part, most trickster keys can be found early on. Can be found without needing special items. But most of the later ones, the ones later on, you need to have a special key in order to find them. So this is a special horseman conversation. If you go near here and you press circle, you'll get a special conversation between them. There's one conversation in every level except the boss levels.
You think it could be Moloch? He doesn't have the muscle, but this smells like him. Question is, why?
Hell is a pit of vipers. Do demon lords need a reason to wage war with one another?
Guess not, but someone got bold.
They will provide entertainment on our way to Samael.
You better have something interesting to tell us, or the council is going to be pissed.
If we don't keep moving, we'll be questioning a corpse. This assault is fierce.
Hurrying for his sake? How annoying.
Oh, there's a bonus. There it is. Ah, wrong way. Wrong place. Oh yeah. So in the beginning cutscene, a little intro cutscene, that demon, Malgos, he says that Strife was bigger than him. Which is weird because if you play Darksiders 3, you'll know that she is not bigger than Strife in any sense. She is very much the same height. And this particular Boatman's coin is a pain in the butt to get. But I want to get it because, again, it helps with later on. And it is possible to get it, you just need to be... Oh, there we go. You just need to be clever about it. I think there's something special down there. Yeah, chest. So even if you get a horseman's conversation, it won't be counted off. See how everything else is like checked off with a red check mark? Horseman conversations will never be checked off. So even if you get one, that doesn't mean that just because it's not checked off, that doesn't mean you get it.
For climbing, ever consider wearing some lighter gear?
So the Strife is trying to the fact that even though he's like armored, his armor is much lighter than War's. In fact, War is the most heavily armored out of the four. That's not to say that Strife and Fury aren't armored, because they do have their bodies are covered pretty much with heavy torn armor. Strife level War is like you never see his real face because he hides it behind a mask. Well, so since I mentioned it earlier, about the graphic novel, it's kind of funny because Fury's design in the graphic novel is much different than her current game design. It is like night and day in difference. Because like Strife was more pale skin, kind of looked like a golem, but I mean like the old Pragian tales of a golem. And but in Darksiders 3, she has a more human appearance, along with more human skin tones. One thing that's really supernatural about her in Darksiders 3 is her hair, which somehow has the ability to float, even though there's no wind or anything, which I like. I like Darksiders 3 because even though its combat is kind of meh, what makes the game good is the character progression and the character development. Because you can see, you'll see in Darksiders 3, when we first meet Fury, you really don't care about her. She's such a bad character, but as time progresses, she gradually becomes a much better and more developed character, and it's really nice to see. I like seeing characters grow, especially if it's like a character going from being a total, how do I say it? Being a total, I can't even use a word that's gonna put it like okay, being a total jerk, there we go, a total jerk into a person of actual compassion. So yeah, this is a fog door. You don't meet many of these, but fog doors are unique in that you can only go through them once. You can't go through them again. They're essentially like points in the game where you gotta like, okay, this is where things are getting, or you go into a place that you can't come back to. And like I said, there's not a whole lot of that door. Like, I think in the entire game there's like only 4 doors out of 16 stages. So yeah.
Why in the hell?
A hollow thing! Get back! Damn, this guy is big.
You might be wondering, why am I and that's because you see this Strife has a special ability called Hot Streak, which is basically as he does damage, gets executions, he builds up that meter below his ammo. And when fully built up, he gets Hot Streak. And Hot Streak changes the properties once he's firing, depending on the bullets. So with his charge shot, it makes it automatically a full charge, therefore it's ensuring maximum damage. And that's what I'm trying to go for. I'm trying to get that maximum damage to burn out as well. See how it's like taking a huge chunk out of his health? And I got it. So I'm gonna cause some shadow clones out. So now the shadow clone damage won't do anything for you. In fact, none of the abilities built into much strangely enough. But they help with overall damage.
I hope there are more of those.
Alright.
We've delayed long enough. We must reach Samael soon.
So you'll notice that the second ammo has like little pips. This is because most ammo, apart from the standard shot, has limited ammo. The standard shot is the only one that has truly unlimited ammo. So its damage might be low, but at least it allows you to build up Hot Streak very easily. So this here we see more of like War being like he's the judgment of the council made flesh. Hey.
A door that pretentious can only lead to our boy Samael. Sneaking in was a good idea.
We didn't sneak. We made a strategic approach. And still killed plenty along the way.
Fair.
Perhaps I was foolish in not accepting his offer.
My lord, the council!
Guess you didn't hear us knocking.
Ah, horseman. What brings the loyal servants of the council to my door?
The council believes you scheme with Lucifer against humanity. Against the balance. Do you deny it?
Horseman, such base villainy is beneath me. I admit, I am intrigued by your accusation. Unfortunately, I find myself a bit under siege at the moment.
By Moloch? How'd you manage to let a bottom feeder like that get the upper hand? No offense.
An excellent question. I could venture a guess.
I told you this day would come, Samael. I, Moloch, have come to claim your head and your kingdom.
Go. Find my associate within the void. We will continue our discussion after I drive my sword through Moloch's skull. Perhaps then we will have an answer to your question.
Sorry about that. I can't do nothing about the dogs. So something to take note is that Strife called Moloch a bottom feeder. So here we are, the Void. If you played Darksiders 1, you'll recognize what this is. The realm of the
Samael
serpent.
sent us here for a reason. Let's discover why.
Now over here is the trickster door. We can't get to it yet because we need an item. So hold on a second. That's trickster door. And we can't get to it because we need something to hit these items. We can get it. It's here. So yeah, because of the fact that Strife fires with RT and R1, you have to press R3 to use his gear. But War is not restricted by that. You just press RT. So the Vorpal Blade, many people would consider it the cousin of the Crossblade, because it has very similar characteristics and properties of the Crossblade.
This is why we're here. He knew we'd need it.
Yeah? And just what is it?
Allow me to demonstrate.
So we switch.
If you're done showing off, Samael's associate awaits?
You almost sound jealous.
Please.
So yeah, we have a few moments where War is kind of like snarky. Not a whole lot, but they're there. That one being a primary version of it. So in order to lock on to something, you gotta hold. You can either hold L2, or you can press it when you come across a target. If you're like trying to do something more precise, like you're trying to specific something in, like target specific things, it's better to press first. If you just want to target a whole bunch of items at once, just hold it. So yeah, the Health Stones and Wrath Stones are called Outlaw and Conqueror. Conqueror will always be for War, Outlaw will always be for Strife. That's how it works. Excuse me. Now for this particular one, we have to charge it up. Because it's got to stay long enough to activate that little switch. If you were to just throw it after locking onto it, you wouldn't. It would be very hard to pass through. Because that little ball would only stay for a second. Actually, I don't think it would even appear at all.
A serpent hole. I should have known.
You're familiar with these?
Unfortunately, yeah. They belong to a guy I've heard of. Must be the associate Samael was talking about. Which explains things.
Can he be trusted?
Absolutely not. In no way possible. But I don't see another way out of here. So what are we waiting for? Let's hop in.
Is it our only option?
We could just wait right here. Forever.
After you.
That is chapter 1. But we're not done yet.
Now where are we?
I was expecting Samael, but horseman? Things are getting interesting.
So this is your base. This is where you'll go to after every chapter ends.
Hey, Volgrim, right? The Soul Leader? Dig the nickname.
So Strife already knows who Volgrim is. War does not.
Strife. Like me, your reputation precedes you. Have you brought me any delicious morsels on which to feast? Maybe those of your brethren?
Mind your tongue, wretch, before I cut it out. Our work doesn't concern you.
This is why when War sees Volgrim in the first game, he's surprised.
Oh, but it must. Why else would you be here?
We were cast here by Samael. Maybe it was to bring him your head.
Careful, horseman. Show the right temperament and I can be of service to you. But you must first be of service to me.
The Council does not negotiate with demons. Defy them and there will be a price.
See, this is another reason why. Because he states specifically right here, the Council does not negotiate with demons.
The Council has no power here. This realm is mine, and therefore subject to my rules. Killing me would prove tragic, as you would be trapped in the void for eternity. Now do I have your attention?
Patience isn't my brother's thing. Or mine, now that I think about it. So get to the point.
The Lords of Hell are forever in conflict. They seek power, control. Lucifer and Samael most of all. You are here because Lucifer attempts something unexpected. He now extends a hand to his enemies, offering something very desirable in exchange for their cooperation.
And Moloch is one of them.
Nothing in this world is without cost. If you wish to know more, we must enter into an agreement. A precious artifact has been stolen from me. I sought Samael's assistance in the matter, but perhaps you could recover it.
That's all the info you're giving us. Go get an artifact. What the hell makes it so important?
It's complicated.
At this point, I'd rather kill you than help you. Council be damned.
That would profit neither of us. It'll be worth your while. I give you my word.
Never trust the word of a demon.
Oh, your word. Why didn't you say so? We'll do it.
You can't be serious.
Look at where we are. If you have a better idea, I'm all ears.
I will provide a serpent hole for travel. And do be careful. The keeper of my artifact will be less than pleased to see you.
No one is ever pleased to see us. That's kind of the idea.
By the way, I think this will be of interest to you. I acquire them from time to time. They're yours. For the right price, of course.
So we're gonna do this because I don't want to explain everything. So. Here we go, the creature core system. Now, initially, these creature cores aren't that impressive initially, but some of the ones that appear later on are very powerful, and they enhance your special abilities along with your stats. It is best to get these creature cores that enhance your abilities, especially the ones that enhances Strife's third Wrath ability. So for this, we're just going to do this. Now, like I said, if you happen to match an ability slot with the same, one of the creature cores with the same type, it gives you a bigger boost than normally it would. But the biggest problem with the creature cores in the beginning is that most of these are level 1, and some creature cores that you get that are at level 1 have negative aspects. But at the same time, the ones that have good aspects, you get those later on, and you want to get those level 3 because they give you much better abilities than what the normal ones will get. I will also say this, is that Vulgrim has access to special cores of enemies that appear in the previous games, but that you can't get in this game. You cannot fight the Angelic Beast in this game. It does not appear at all in this game. So Vulgrim, you have to barter with him for the creature cores to upgrade. And he has, like, one creature core in particular is easily the best one in the game that he gets later on. But this is it. Next video we'll start chapter 2 and chapter 3. But for now, we're done. It's been an hour anyways. So,
Do be
thanks
careful with
for
yourselves.
watching and see you guys in the next video. This is Silent Soul Ken signing off.